about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for a basement. Yeah, I lost my way, but I hear tell about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for a basement.
Hi, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. How's it going, eh? Howdy. Hello there. Thank you very much for shooting in. Joining a fella here for another live stream. New West Reset Live, episode 70. 70? So where are we at here? Well, it's Friday, June the 14th, 2024. And it's just a little wee bit past 7 p.m. local time, mountain time here. And that's in Calgary, don't you know? That's right, as usual. We're coming at you live from Calgary in southern Alberta, up in Canadian land. So thanks for joining me here. Thanks for kicking off your weekend with yours truly. Really appreciate it. It's hot. Well, it's the tip of the iceberg of hot here. 24 degrees Celsius right now. That's right around 80. Yeah, it's like 80 Fahrenheit. So, you know, for a late spring day at 7 in the evening, it's hot. Anyway, thank you for shooting in, joining me here. A little bit of a later edition to the show. A guy had to work until 6 o'clock, so I punched out and I ran home so I could get this thing going at a reasonable time. So I know it's a little bit of a later edition, and it's extremely late or extremely early for a lot of you. So I really appreciate you joining me here, kicking off your weekend. Thank you very much. It's well, as mentioned, it's Friday. And, you know, it's my favorite day of the week, whether I have the next day off or not. In this case, I do, but in most cases, nope, denied. Most times I have Sunday off. Actually, I don't work Sundays, period. Nope, not going to do it. But, you know, I'll have like a Sunday Wednesday or a Sunday Friday or whatever. But this week, I get Saturday, Sunday off. I got a weekend off, like the regular normie folks. So that's pretty good. It's not bad. So as mentioned, I know it's a bit late for some of you, so thank you for your support. Really appreciate that. And, well, since we're on the subject, who's here? Say hello in the chat. Say hello in the box. Let me know where you're shooting in from and how you're doing. I know Terry's here already. Terry Light. There she is. Happy Friday. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy-o. Kathy Childers is here as well. Good to see you. Howdy. Speaking of it's really late. There's Hippie Shake. I think it's like 2 o'clock in the morning over there in Wales. I think. Anyway. Appreciate you, Hippie. Thank you very much for being here. Terry says, I can almost sense the sirens already. Did we get a siren on last week's show? I don't actually even remember getting sirens. And I think that's because I was shooting off my big yap, right? Saying, oh, guaranteed, for sure. It's, it always happens. You could set your watch to it or whatever. And then I don't think we did. So a guy jinxed it. I put the kibosh on it or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Oh, 10 degrees there in Wales. It's like an autumn morning. Ew, that's not good. It's not good at all. Jabberoo Joe in the box. Good day. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Cousin Vinny's here as well. That's right. That's a great greeting. Greetings, fellow future asylum inmates. Yeah, well, hey, had we been assembling in groups and talking about some of the stuff that we talk about, not only here, but, other channels in this line of research, trying to uncover the real truth of the real history. But yeah, we'd definitely all be locked up right now. But yeah, it's good to see you, Cousin Vinny. Thanks for shooting in. Because, when you got Cousin Vinny, then you get the Frankie Fingers over here, eh? So welcome to all you mooks out there. You... So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing. No. What? No. What I said about Frankie Fingers. Oh. That Frankie Fingers and New West Reset are the same. Wait, what?
Oh yeah, she don't stand no cheating. She don't stand none of that.
Terry says, yes, sirens happened. That just happened. So I guess you've got a big white dry erase board and you just keep a tally, which is great. That's good. Appreciate it. Anyway, thanks again for joining me here. This is New West. I can't. I'm having problems talking. Anyway, New West Reset Live, episode 70. There we go. Edmonton, Pedestrian Oblivion. I think this is like the 4th or 5th Pedestrian Oblivion themed live stream. Terry says, I do love a Pedestrian Oblivion episode. Well, and it's the usual, right? Between the streetcars or trams, trolleys, whatever you want to call it, and the people and the cars, it's a madhouse. This is a madhouse. A madhouse. Anyway. But this footage that I have is from Edmonton, the capital city here up here in Alberta, just about 3 hours north, 300 clicks-ish north of a guy, Edmonton. And this is quite late on already. Like, people should know better by this point. This is 1949 that I found great footage. And I don't get it. Like, look both ways before you cross the street. Watch out for cars. Watch out for trains. If you're driving a car, watch out for the people and watch out for trains or trolleys. I'm just going to call them trains. Because often the actual train, the steam locomotive train, later the diesel locomotive trains, often use the same track. Seen footage of that. So, hey, you want to talk about chaotic. Anyway, who I feel for the most are the streetcar, trolley, tram conductor, driver guy. I mean, he must just go home and just be like, just jitters, just like shaking like a cheap watch, just, I need to pour myself a stiff drink over here to calm myself down a little bit. Woo. And it's, you know what, it's still like that today. I mean, you know, Edmonton has got rid of their streetcars in 1951, I think. Only to, you know, a few decades later install an electric train line through the city. Ridiculous. Calgary, same thing, right? Ours, I think, went until 55 or something, then shut it down. Why? Because it's quiet, efficient, and people love it. But they use the excuse, oh, I was impeding vehicular traffic as cars got more and more common. Streets got busier. So on and so forth. Oh, and it became, you know, cost prohibitive. You know, they couldn't make enough money. So they had to pull the plug or put the brakes on the whole shooting match. It's ridiculous. But that said, you know, here in Calgary, right, if a guy goes downtown or something, and, you know, where the train runs, well, actually the train runs about, I don't know, 2 blocks from my place. There's a train station. But anyway, if I want to go into downtown, normally I walk because I don't like the train. But even today, you know, if I'm downtown and the train's going by, there's people almost get hit. Their cars are driving on the street where it's only supposed to be the train. And like, really? It's 2024, people. We've had these things for about 150 years now, you know, in some form or another. Whether it's the, you know, the trams or the, you know, the streetcar, the belt-driven cable car streetcars like San Francisco or what have you. Or even can a guy keep a straight face while saying this? Even the horse-drawn streetcars, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Anyway, so we're going to be looking at some footage. And of course, the usual, we're going to be looking at the official story, the official history of, at least according to the Wikipedia, on the Edmonton streetcar line, their civic electric rail car system. They call it a weird name, though. They call it, what do they call it? They called it something weird. Radial railway. Really? What is it, like a tire? Radial railway. I've never heard it referred to as that in any other city. Anyway, much like many of the other Pedestrian Oblivion episodes, you're gonna, this thing is just, it's chaos in the streets. It's a nail biter. And I think the video I have is about half an hour, give or take. And of course, we'll take a mid-show break and give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage. All that said, let's get some house cleanings things out of the way here. First of all, if you haven't already, please give a fellow one of these. Or one of these. That's fine, whatever. Just helps to, you know, push me out into the YouTubes there a little bit. Thank you very much for joining me, by the way, once again. Those of you that are tuning in after the fact, after the live, thank you very much for your support as well. Great to see all of you. Leave a guy a comment or, you know, something like that. Thank you to everybody who has shared and subscribed. Really appreciate that. Links below for what we're going to look at, as usual, you know, with the Wikipedia. And as well, in the description below are the links for my location map, as well as where you can reach me on the emails, my MeWe social media page, BitChute, and as always, on the Fightin' platform where I'm broadcasting simultaneously live right now. So welcome. What's that motorcycle whipping by on that road out there, eh? The window's open, of course, because it's nice. It's really nice. In fact, at one point today, it was too hot. I said to myself, Self, it's too hot. It's hotter than the devil's dick out here. It's hotter than Satan's taint. I don't like it. It's hotter than Lucifer's loins. Get me in some shade. Tommy Temper in the box. I'm in Old Strathcona. There you go. Just on the other side of the river. The North Saskatchewan River. See, there's our favorite word here on the channel, everybody. Our favorite province in Canada to say, Saskatchewan. And up near Edmonton Ways there, the river that runs through Edmonton is the North Saskatchewan River. Say it with me now, everybody. Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. Anyway, good to see you, Tommy. Thanks for shooting in, joining a fellow. Just on the south side of the North Saskatchewan River, just to make it sound even more confusing. Anyway, thank you once again, everybody, for joining me. Really appreciate it. PayPal as well. If you care to, I don't know, buy a guy coffee or whatever, sure, you know, links in the description. I believe Hippie has been sharing links as well in the chat, in the box there. Of course, yes, then you throw in Saskatoon, right? And you have Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Fantastic. And I want to reiterate and stress, I'm not making fun of Saskatchewan or Saskatoon or Saskatchewanites, Saskatchewanonians, Saskatchewanists, Saskatchewanites, I believe. It's a great name. I'm not being sarcastic or anything. No tongue in cheek here. I really, it's just fun to see. Yeah, Saskabush. That's right. That's what a local, that's it. And Vinny's absolutely right. That's where you find all the Sasquatches, is in Saskatchewan. Yeah, Saskabush is a local colloquialism for Saskatchewan. Much like Edmundchuck is for Edmonton. Some say Deadmonton, but I don't know, man. I lived in Edmonton for a couple of years, a few years back, and I thought it was great. Winters are colder and longer, but, you know, what are you going to say? What are you going to do, right? It's north central Alberta, up in Canadian land. She's going to get a little bit on the chilly side come November there, eh, bot? Marit is here from the Hidden in Plain Sight channel. Thank you very much for shooting in, my friend. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. It's kind of late over there in the Netherlands as well right now. Is it like midnight? No. 1 a.m.? No. 2 a.m. also? Is it also 2 a.m.? No, it might even be 3 a.m. No, that can't be right. All I know is it's really late / really early. Well, yeah, good point. Well, you know, they got the Porcupine Hills, and then, you know, North Saskatchewan, it's quite hilly, borderline mountainous. Once you get up into the sort of the, you know, the boreal forest area geographically, so to speak. And actually super southwestern Saskatchewan has weird, shall we just say, geological anomalies. Huge rock outcroppings that are basically big hills or small mountains as well. 3 a.m. Bless you, Marie. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining, my friend. Really appreciate that. But yeah, you know, when you're talking about the flat wheat fields of Saskatchewan, where a guy can watch his dog run away for like 3 days, I still see it, just heading down that old dirt road there. Oh, geez, eh? He's going to be gone a while there, hey? He's going to be gone for a while there, eh, bud? Anyway, speaking of Cousin Vinny is going to be joining a fella for the 1,500 subscriber meetup. That's coming up fastly and furiously, Sunday, June 23rd, 1 p.m. local time. Once again, that's Mountain Time. We're going to be doing a meetup and a mudflood tour, going on walkabout, if you will, over in Inglewood, one of the oldest neighborhoods here in Calgary. Just on the other side of the Elbow River, on the eastern side of the Elbow River. Earlier in the week, I gave you a little bit of a peekaboo with one building there, of sort of a little, just a little, a little taste of what we'll be seeing in Inglewood. Anyway, so that's coming up quickly. So if you would like to join me, if you are a local here in Cowtown, in Sandstone City, in Calgary, you want to join a guy, Sunday, the June 23rd. That's like, what, just over a week away, really? No, week and a half-ish. Anyway, we'd love to have you. It's about, I don't know, 6 or 7 city blocks, old world buildings, an old fire hall, old school, a couple side streets with an old convent, some old churches, some beautiful old world homes there as well. You know, so we'll meet up, we'll grab a steaming hot cup of joe, and then we'll, you know, say the hi, how are yous, and we'll do a mudflood tour, and I don't know, depending how long it takes, maybe we'll grab a bite to eat afterwards, or a wobbly pop, or some giggle water, or I don't know, whatever floats your boat, whatever you fancy. So yeah, if you're local, we'd love to have you. Just reach out to me with my email, once again, in the link below, or in the link in the description below. My bad. In fact, here, let me just quickly throw it up in the box here in the chat. Pretty easy. newwestreset at Gmail. A guy's not the most creative when coming up with the email address, but there it is. Or if you think you're going to be in and around, in and abouts Calgary on the 23rd, and you would like to join, again, would love to have you. One thing, though, probably a good idea to wear comfortable shoes. There's a lot of walking, so wear some comfortable footwear on your tootsies.
I'm going downtown. And I'm gonna buy me some new shoes.
And Vaughn is in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. Thanks for shooting in. Good day to you. Or as we say in Canadian Idiot Land, how's it going? Good day, eh? How's it going, eh? We say, how's it going? And down under, they say, how you going? Good day, how you going there, mate? What? You mean, where am I going? No, how you going? How am I going? I'm walking, I guess. I might catch a ride. How you going? No, that's not. You're crazy. Crikey! You're weird over there in Canada. Anyway, good to see you, my friend. Speaking of donations, PayPal donations, thank you very much once again, Vaughn. I'd like to send you a little something, Vaughn. So if when you get a moment, if you can shoot a guy an email, so I can email you back, and maybe if you don't mind, I'd like to get your mailing address or something. So I want to send you a little something. So anyways, once again, links for everything below on how to get a hold of a feller if you want to meet up for the meetup. See what I did there. Anyway, sorry. Ridiculous. I'm just super happy because it's Friday, and the guy had a heck of a week. He was busy this week. So I'm psyched for Friday. So yeah, thanks again for joining me here at this slightly later time. You know, guy's got to work. A guy's got to work. What are you going to do, right? You got to punch the clock for the man, even though I'm semi-retired. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, by the way, I mentioned if Vaughn can send a guy a line. That goes for Dina as well. Dina Lind, who also has made a couple of donations to the channel just for little stuffs for the meetup or what have you to go towards coffees for everybody or something. Great, excellent. Thank you. You having a go, mate? Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not having a go. I don't mean to offend. Don't forget, for the longest time over here in Canada land, really all we knew about Australia were kangaroos, Crocodile Dundee movies, and Foster's Lager, right? And then, throw another shrimp on the Barbie and all that shite, right? So, we're very sheltered up here in the Great White North, eh? With our long winters and, we only just got the internet like a couple of years ago. Before that, we were using the tin cans and the string, in our igloos. Outbacks. That's right. Outbacks there. And Subaru Outback. Which I don't think anybody in Australia makes that sound at all. Not even at a rugby match or football game or something. No, I don't think. Oh, and Utes. Football, meat pies. Meat pies, really? I thought that was British thing / French-Canadian tourtière thing, but sure, why not? Meat pies, kangaroos and holding cars. Yeah, and Utes. The pickup truck car thing, like the Ford Ranchero and the Chevy El Camino. Oh, yeah, and our dog sleds too, eh? Somehow Canada manages to have igloos and dog sleds, but also quote-unquote Indians with feathers hunting buffalo. So I don't know how that works. It used to be a song, football, meat pies, kangaroos, and holding cars. Oh, okay. Who sang that? Midnight Oil? Or was it In Excess? Sorry. Now I am having a go. Them's fighting words. Lucky he doesn't hop on a plane and come over here and sock a guy right in the nose. Anyway, I'm screwing around here. Let's open up the goggle machine and look at the goggle maps at least and see where we're at for anybody that's like Edmonton, Alberta. Where are you talking about? Oh, in Canada. Up in Canada land. Yeah, that's right. So we'll open up the goggle machine here. There's the goggle maps. There she is, the glorious Canada land there. There's Saskatchewan. Anyway, Alberta's here. There's Calgary right there. There's where Guy lives in Calgary. There's Edmonton, north central Alberta. Well, pretty much smack. They call it north central Alberta, but really it's smack dab in the middle of big old Alberta. As you can see, Purdy, Alberta is about the size of Texas. So there's your North Saskatchewan River. Right there. And there's Strathcona. Our friend in Strathcona. It's beauty there. I'm definitely going to be, by the way, this summer at some point, probably August, I'm going to be up in Edmonton. I'm going to take a trip up there to do a mudflood walkabout tour, and I'm definitely going to be doing this area here, and then I'm going to be doing a bunch of the old downtown, And of course, the Hotel McDonald and some buildings at Jasper Avenue. A little bit of my stomping grounds in and around where the Freemasons Lodge is. Look at the old jail that's up here. Some old churches and stuff. And if you guys got time, we might even venture into old Chinatown. But yeah, this is where we're looking at Edmonton for this edition of the show. Edmonton Pedestrian Oblivion. So as I was saying, they have their streetcar line. They still do, but it's not the same streetcar line because, again, that stupid thing. We're getting rid of them, and we're going to bring in buses. Then after a while, damn, these buses are polluting. We're going to bring an electric train. And it's like, well, you already had that, you idiots. What'd you get rid of it for? Oh, I know why, because everybody loved it. That's why you got rid of it. Goofs. A freaking goof. You're a goof, eh? Let's have a quick look at what the Wikipedia says about Edmonton itself. Right there, Edmonton. Not Edmonton, London, though. This is Edmonton, Alberta, eh? It's the capital city, the Canadian province of Alberta. Edmonton is situated on the North Saskatchewan River and is the center of the Edmonton metropolitan region, which is surrounded by Alberta's central region. The city anchors the north end of what Statistics Canada defines as the Calgary-Edmonton corridor. Yeah, that's sort of main drag between the two biggest cities in Alberta. A region spanning between Edmonton and the city of Calgary, Alberta's largest city, which includes the many smaller municipalities between the two. Yeah, like Red Deer and Innisfail and Didsbury and Ponoka, where the mental institution is and whatnot. Anyway, as of 2021, Edmonton had a city population of 1 million and change, and a metropolitan population of almost 1.5 million, making it the 5th largest city and the 6th largest metropolitan area in Canadian land. Edmonton's had a bit of a growth spurt or a boom as of late, because I know for a while it had dipped down to about 800,000 or maybe even a bit less. Maggots in the box. There he is. That's right. I heard tell about heaven in Alberta, where they got all hell for a basement. So Edmonton is both the northernmost city and metropolitan area in North America to have a population of over 1 million. So it's the northernmost city on the entire continent with a population of over 1 million people. That's pretty good. Resident of Edmonton is known as Edmontonian. That I did know. It was first inhabited by First Nations peoples of Algonquin, Athabascan, and Siouan, or Sioux, of which the Blackfoot are. Algonquin, like our friend Old World Mi'kmaq. Athabascan, I don't think I know anybody who's in any of the indigenous nations that's Athabascan. But that would be up in the Edmonton area. These peoples and their ancestors inhabited the area of the modern city intermittently beginning at the close of the last glacial period, perhaps as early as 12,000 BC. The city was also a historic site for the Métis. If you don't know the Métis, that's half indigenous and half generally French, European. Who held many narrow lots along the North Saskatchewan, which gave access to resources in the area. By 1882, these lots numbered about 44, after which they were displaced and integrated into the expanding city of Edmonton. Anthony Henday may have been the first European to enter the area of modern-day Edmonton while exploring the prairies of Rupert's Land. It's what parts of Canada were called before it was called Canada, eh? For the Hudson's Bay Fur Trading Company. There it is again. Back in 1754, the guy was heel-toeing it and hoofing it out here, looking around. There's nothing out here. To which all these folks said, what are you talking about, bozo? We're here with our stuff. Get out of here. By 1795, many trading posts had been established around the present metropolitan area, and by 1801, they had all moved to the current site of the city of Edmonton. Fort Edmonton, as it was known, became the main center for trade in the area, and after the 1821 merger of the Hudson's Bay Company and the Northwest Company, which was their largest fur trading company rival, Edmonton remained sparsely populated until the Canadian acquisition of Rupert's Land in 1870. There you go. Up until then, the Hudson's Bay Company had they were awarded by the Crown basically the monopoly to do trading in Rupert's Land, which is now Canada. And they had their own police force, basically their own thugs to enforce their laws, company laws, as opposed to, political laws that were voted on. These politicians voted on by the citizens. Nah, it's just this big corporation, which is probably a branch of the umbrella company of the Dutch East India Trading Company, or the British East India Trading Company. One of them, because it's all the same. But anyways, the Northwest Mounted Police, right? The Mounties ruled with an iron fist in these here parts. Edmonton, okay, the Canadian Pacific Railway came into town in 1891. Inaugurated as a city in 1904, designated as the capital of the new province of Alberta in 1906. Edmonton's growth as a city had been facilitated through the absorption of 5 adjacent municipalities: Strathcona, North Edmonton, West Edmonton, Beverly, and Jasper Place. In addition to a series of annexations through 1982, Leduc County and Beaumont. Yeah, Leduc's kind of an interesting place. Beaumont looks interesting too. I don't think I've been to Beaumont. Known as Gateway to the North. Not the gateway to the New West. Nope, the gateway to the North. The city is now a staging point for large-scale oil sands projects in northern Alberta, yada yada, Northwest Territories. So you get the idea. Links in the description. Maybe let's quickly see what the Wikipedia says about their railway as well. They call the Edmonton Radial Railway. Again, that's weird, right? I mean, is it me? Am I crazy? Or does that just sound weird? Sounds odd to a guy. Radial Railway. So the Edmonton Radial Railway, also known as the Street Railway Department, was a streetcar service that operated in Edmonton, Alberta from 1908 to 1951. It was Edmonton's first public transit service and later evolved into the Edmonton Transit Service. Beginning as a small agency with 21 kilometers or 13 miles of track and 4 streetcars, the Edmonton Radial Railway would eventually operate more than 70 streetcars on over 90 clicks or 56 miles of track, reaching most areas of the city. At its peak in 1929, the ERR served more than 14.1 million passengers that year. People, like I said, they love them all over the realm, whether it's Europe or Eastern Europe or Asia or like some countries in Africa, the bigger cities there, they all have the same thing. South America, North America, it doesn't matter. A lot of these, even little towns of 1,500 people, here in Alberta and other parts of the realm, like I know for sure, areas of the Midwest or even like Ohio or Iowa, Kansas, some little town with like 2,000 people, and they had a little streetcar, electric tram. In fact, interurban trams were kind of a big thing too. They would go between cities and towns, big routes or routes. We did an episode of the live show on that topic here as well. Anyway, the surface suffered from underinvestment during the Great Depression. Oh yeah, that's always another thing too, right? as the city could not afford to replace old streetcars, tracks, or other infrastructure. Starting in 1932, streetcar lines were phased out in favor of trolley and gas bus routes. And by August 49, only one core line was left. The last day of public streetcar service was September 1st, 1951. Until Edmonton's light rail transit service opened in 1978, all transit routes were delivered by bus or trolley buses. Of course. So, like just a hair under 3 decades later, they have to go and rebuild an entire new infrastructure, of which they ripped up in the 50s. Because for some reason they had trouble during the Great Depression, but I mean, 51's a long ways from that. You should have figured it out by then, how to make this thing profitable and be able to maintain it. I think they could. They just didn't want to. They wanted to get us all on the petroleum, especially here in Alberta, because that's the other thing. We got all them there dead dinosaurs here in Alberta. And they just pumping the oil out of the ground here from the decomposing dead dinosaurs, don't you know? In 1893, an ordinance permitting Edmonton to construct and operate a tramway was passed. The concept remained stagnant for the next decade, so they just sat on the idea for 10 years. And the Edmonton City Council approved the borrowing of $224,000 for the creation of a streetcar system in 1907. That's a lot of money back then. Wait a second, why are they saying 1907? I thought the thing started in... Oh no, 1908. Okay, I thought I caught something there, but no. False alarm. Construction of the initial trackway and related infrastructure commenced soon after. The Edmonton legislature passed the Edmonton Radial Tramway Act in 1908, permitting the city to provide tramway service to the communities located within 80 miles of the city. So there you go. Basically, they said, we're going to build into this thing potential interurban electric streetcar service. So this thing went all the way down to Leduc and so on and so forth. The ERR's name stemmed from its radial or out and back model. Ah, there we go. Okay, mystery solved. All streetcar lines converged at Jasper Avenue and 101st Street, pretty much right downtown, and radiated outward towards various areas of the city. Shortly prior to the start of service, Edmonton purchased the Strathcona Radial Tramway Company Limited for $135,000, thus gaining the ability to provide streetcar service to the city of Strathcona as well. Wait, Strathcona already had a radial tramway system before Edmonton did? And Edmonton was the capital of the province and bigger? That doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Really, really weird. Anyway, regular service commenced on November 9th, 1908, with a fleet of 4 streetcars operating on 21 kilometers or 13 miles of track. On its first day of operations, the ERR served approximately 3,000 riders. Service quickly grew in popularity by mode of transportation and became known as the Pride of Edmonton. So proud they tore it down 40 years later. By 1911, daily ridership increased to around just short of 4,800 passengers. Motormen, conductors, and other streetcar workers unionized in 1911. Uh-oh, damn socialists. Under the banner of the Amalgamated Association of Street and Electric Railway Employees of America. Wow, that is a mouthful for a guy. The ER served more than 10 million passengers in 1912, and Edmonton purchased 47 new streetcars. The original streetcar barn was replaced with a new barn in 1913. Wait, so 5 years later, they already had to replace their barn? Why wouldn't they just add on to it? Or build adjacent barns in the same... They always seem to do that, right? Within a few years. Oh, we outgrew this. We better knock her down and build a new one already. Wait, what? 5 years? Oh, okay. Which would be in use until the system ceased operations in 1951. That same year, the high-level bridge was completed. Oh, provided additional connection for streetcars between Edmonton and Strathcona prior to its opening. The low-level bridge was the only river crossing with streetcar infrastructure. Yeah, the high-level bridge is something else. The cargo trains can use it, and the streetcars used it, and now the current streetcar system uses it. I don't think they use the low-level bridge anymore. Not sure. Long-term expansion plan was presented to the City Council by municipal staff in 1912. Proposal called for 15 belt line routes, which would operate in circuits instead of straight radial lines. I see. So they would have sort of belts, like we have that in Calgary too. That neighborhood to this day is still referred to as the Belt Line. Council was told by city staff that the plan should provide adequate service for the next 50 years, beginning in 1913. They overshot it by about 12 years, but anyway. The plan was incorporated into expansion work that the ERR undertook. The plan never came fully to fruition. The ERR later reverted to a radial network model and never reached 15 routes. So they already, so the plan was incorporated into expansion work that they were already working on. But then later they just said, nah, F that. Hard to find employees during WW1. Then there was, of course, a big flood in 1915. There's always something. Fire, flood. What else do we have here? The end of WW1 brought another influx of complaints. I mean complaints about the ER, as residents criticized overcrowding, dirty streetcars, routes perceived as inefficient, and the prevalence of one-man streetcars. So like just one guy in the entire car. The ER superintendent argued that these issues were caused by a number of factors out of his control. It's hard to obtain parts during the war. Service was slowed by the number of railway crossings streetcars had to stop at, and two-man streetcar service was too expensive. Oh, I see what they mean, like staff. People staffing each car. Okay. This was on top of an increase in the number of passengers as veterans began returning from the war. Most streetcars were converted to allow for single-man operations by 1920. In 1917 or 18, crossovers were installed at both ends of the high-level bridge so that streetcars could cross the bridge on the left-hand track. Single-ended streetcars only had doors on the right side. Oh, man. So they had to build crisscrosses at some of the stations because the doors were only on one side. Crazy. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into this here. It did go into the decline and the eventual death of the poor thing. And it's, the usual, right? The usual shenanigans. So once again, links, description below for that as well. Hippie says those streetcars are amazing. Apparently they were wireless at first, then stopped working and had to put cables in. That's what I've heard anyway. Well, I've seen some videos. I think Campbell, autodidactic. I'm not sure if he was the first one I saw or the... Anyways, that's the one I remember seeing where they're finding this sort of honeycomb designed metallic plates underneath the streets in some cities. They're ripping up the streets for repairs, or the asphalt or the paving or the blacktop, on top starts wearing down and potholes form. And then you can see these metal grids that are honeycomb shaped underneath. And the theory is that perhaps the roads were electric and powered things like the old world streetcars, and even perhaps old world vehicles that were just personal vehicles that weren't necessarily mass transit vehicles, right? So I thought that was really, really interesting. Yeah. There was some speculation that they levitated. Now, that I don't know. I mean, I'm sure anything's possible. I mean, when you talk magnetics, electromagnetics, and also when you talk, vibration and sound frequency, certainly possible. I wouldn't discount it, but I'll say that that's maybe a smaller percentage of likelihood than, the streets being electrified. I mean, that, or you can see, what else how else can they explain away that stuff under the street, right? Oh, it's to help stabilize the road? Sure, and make it last longer. Sure, yeah, okay, so how come there's so many potholes and all the paving is busting off to actually reveal the stuff under there in the first place? Well, it's to help the roads so they don't get all wonky from earthquakes. Really? Some of these cities they're finding these don't have a history of earthquakes. So it's just very strange and fascinating. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, electric roads. Yeah, before they would have rubber tires, right? They had some other means of propulsion. There was some other kind of a wheel and some other kind of a suspension and cushioning system. So you still get the smooth ride of rubber tires, air-filled rubber tires. We use the term smooth ride loosely. You still have to have suspension and shock absorbers and, even in the seat you're sitting in driving the dang car, you got to have springs and all that and padding so it's not all bumpy. Magpies are angry outside. They're angry at something out there. Anyway, I got just a couple of pictures here just to give us an idea before we get into the mid-show break and give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage video, which, by the way, is Nelson, British Columbia in 1939. But I do have I don't have a lot. I just grabbed a couple just to give us a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about here for these Edmonton streetcar, trolley, trams. Mega Triumph in the box. Yeah, okay. Well, and then that also brings up what is gravity, right? Is gravity really a force that's pulling us down? I don't think so. I think gravity is something else. So yeah, it could be countered by, well, we've seen it. There's been experiments done, where different sound frequencies not only create patterns in the sand or whatever's spread on the metal plate that they're vibrating, but we've also seen how sound frequency can, levitate, I think it was ping pong balls and stuff like that. So yeah, very, very interesting. And this is all, ancient tech or old world tech that we've just forgotten or has been obscured or stolen from us or occulted from us, Oh, here's your typical shot, where you've got some snow on the ground or something here. I don't know what's going on. Is it brick road or? It's hard to tell, but I definitely think that's snow on the ground. Although it doesn't look very cold. I think this is old Jasper Avenue. So we see this a lot, right? The chaos in the streets of the combination of, you still have some vehicles that are horse-drawn. I mean, not everybody had a jalopy or a car at this point, right? A lot of people were heel-toeing it and hoofing it around or using their bike, or they were, horse and buggy or whatever. So you have the combination of these streetcars, the regular vehicles, jalopies, and then horse and buggy. And there's no traffic lights or anything like that. Like in major intersections, you might have a street cop, like a signalman, but controlling the traffic. But more often than not, it's just chaos, right? And later on in the show, in the video we're looking at, even as recent as 1949, it's still chaos. Still cars whipping in and out in front of the trains almost hitting people. People like looking one way while they're crossing and the train's coming down on them. It's ridiculous. This is White Avenue, which is now a major thoroughfare. And this is in White Avenue is Old Strathcona, is it not? I think White Avenue is Old Strathcona, technically. I don't remember 100% for sure or not, but I believe it is. Anyways, Tommy Temper, if you're still listening in, if you're lurking, you can confirm that for me. White Avenue was formerly Old Strathcona. Great shot though, because you see the old cars here. You know, this is in the 40s by this point. You know, Texaco gas station just looks like somebody's house, and they just say, we'll open up a gas station here. I don't know what's going on here. Some kind of thing going on in 1912. Scona, probably something to do with Strathcona. So you can see like these roads are dirt. This is all dirt and crap. But, you know, you get your electric streetcar. That always confused a guy. Like this I can get. Here's Jasper Avenue in the 20s. Hustle and bustle. So this, you know, I can get, right? Sure, you know, you got, you know, paved roads, whether it's asphalt or concrete or brick or cobblestone, whatever. Sure, I get it. But when you see dirt roads, but basically the same level of sophistication in terms of the trolleys themselves. I mean, come on, man. It always struck me as very odd. Like it doesn't quite fit. Terry's saying 1912. Yeah, there's that year again, right? 1912, the last free year. Yeah, there's that 1912 again. So I'm definitely going to be hoofing it up and down here when I head up to Edmonton in August. Some of these are still here. I think this old Empire block is still there. Some of the old banks might still be there, but of course a lot of these are going to be either brutal facaded or these little guys knocked down. You can almost guarantee it. Yeah, there you go. Just a little bit of something. We'll give you a little bit of an idea. So where are we at here? Well, coming up on an hour. Close enough, I guess, for a guy. So, yeah, we'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek Wednesday. And as per usual, every Wednesday, you're going to get one of these vintage footage videos. More often than not, Canadian content, but not always. You know, and I try to find as old film footage as I can, and I set it to some music, some tunage. So every Wednesday, you get one of those. Of course, every Friday, you get the live show. And every Sunday, you get a boots on the ground video. And then every once in a while, somebody will throw in a little something extra. Anyway, this video is, as mentioned earlier, it's Nelson, British Columbia. And it's from 1939. It's just shy of 3 minutes long. So we'll have a look at that for your mid-show break. And we shall be right back. All right. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Cheers. All right, and we are back. Hi, everyone. Thank you once again for shooting in and joining a fella here for another one. New West Reset Live, episode 70, Edmonton Pedestrian Oblivion. Here on this Friday, June 14th, 2024. A little bit of a later start here. A guy had to work earlier, so thank you to all of you for joining me at sort of a roughly 2 hours later than I normally do. So I really appreciate that. Still beautiful outside right now, still around 20 degrees Celsius, like 72, 73 Fahrenheit. Fantastic. If you're just joining me, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give a guy one of these. Thanks to everybody who's shooting in after the fact and watching. Appreciate your support. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Links below for everything we've been looking at the top half of the show. Just a little bit of the Wikipedia versions of, the official his story of Edmonton and the Edmonton Radio Railway. And as a reminder, once again, the 1,500 subscriber meetup coming up here fairly quickly. Sunday, June the 23rd, 1 p.m. local time, mountain time. So if you're local yourself and you want to join a fella or two, and as we explore old Inglewood here in Calgary, would love to have you. Cousin Vinny's going to be there. Not really sure. I haven't really gotten any firm confirmations from anybody else so far, but that's fine. You know, the date wasn't really locked in officially until just a couple of days ago, and it was all hinging on the weather. Had the weather forecast been great for this coming Sunday, the 16th, that's when we would have done it, but it's going to be raining all the live long day. So yeah, there you go. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for shooting in and joining me here and kicking off your weekend. And as mentioned, if you want to join me for the meetup, links for my email below. Reach out to me and I can give you further details and so on and so forth. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's, as mentioned at the top of the show, and as I've mentioned a couple of times already, there's an old fire hall there to look at, and a couple of old churches and stuff. Tons of old world brick and sandstone, or a combination of the two. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a great time last year with the 1,000 subscriber meetup on Stephen Avenue, and just mind-blowing old stuff. And Vinny and I discovered a couple of things that even me living here, 40 plus years, 44 years, hadn't really noticed. Even after, sort of becoming hip to the historical lies and the manipulations and so on. And being down on Stephen Avenue, I used to work downtown, so I was on Stephen Avenue a lot, and hadn't really noticed this stuff. And even recent years, you still kind of notice things that, wait a sec, I never noticed that before. So yeah, it was great, and this one should be a lot of fun too.
All right, we're having a good time, and
actually, you know what? Let me share this with you real quick before we get into the 1949 video footage of the old Edmonton streetcar system, the actual Pedestrian Oblivion portion of the show. But let me just share something here with you real quick. I'm going to share with you a little bit of the sneak peek of the meetup. This video was, I uploaded this just this past... When was that? On the 11th, I think, on Tuesday or something like that. Anyway, give you a little bit of a taste of this here. Just give you an idea. Hi, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. How's it going? Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one. Another boots on the ground video here today. And as you can see, I am in Inglewood. So what I thought I would do today here is give you a sneak peek at the neighborhood that we're going to be looking at for my 1,500 subscriber meetup and mudflood walkabout tour. So stick around, be right back.
About a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for a basement.
So as mentioned, here I am in Inglewood, and I want to give you just a little sampling of what we're going to be seeing in the walkabout mudflood tour here of Inglewood for the meetup. Right now I'm on the corner of 9th Avenue and 8th Street Southeast. I'm just outside of the Dean House, right here, right by Fort Calgary. And I thought a good place to start would be this old beauty right here. With all the brick and all the arched windows. So once I get the light to cross, I'm going to cross here and we'll have a closer look at this thing and see what's going on here. This is a great neighborhood. You can even just see down the main drag there on the high street. There's a couple of old buildings there, one on the other side of that modern building. They've started putting more modern buildings in here, but there are architectural restrictions. They have to... Hang on here, I'm going to skip ahead just a bit. Because, where is it? There we go. Now, this was brought up, an interesting point was brought up by Marit, Hidden in Plain Sight. And it was something that I remembered but didn't notice. I didn't notice initially. But you can see that on this photomograph here on the plaque that's on the side of the building, you can see where there's really low windows there. Wow, there's the train. Somebody's messing around on the train tracks because they don't normally blow the whistle this close in the residential area. It's usually a little further. But anyway. So you can see in this photo, there's some really low windows just shooting right down there that I didn't notice when I was there doing boots on the ground in this very video, that they had bricked them up. So that's very, very interesting. So shout out to Marie, sharp eyes. Well, back into it here. I know that there was a place here, Inglewood, supposedly founded in 1875. So that's going back a ways here for Calgary's history. Of course, with the fort being right here. But this used to be a hunting, camping, and fishing supply place down over here in this entrance called Frenchies and Baratos. Along this side of the building were all low windows that are now bricked up, and I hadn't really noticed. But I do remember going into that Frenchie and Barato's store that was in this building with my dad, you know, picking up fishing supplies or hunting supplies or ammunition or, you know, whatever, right? You need a new set of hunting boots or whatever, right? This was the place that you went. I don't know, I think my dad knew one of the guys who owned it or something. But it was downstairs. Like you had to go through one of these side doors and you actually went downstairs. But it wasn't a basement per se because there were windows along there that aren't there anymore that let in all kinds of light. You know what I mean? I mean, they had lights on in there, but, you know, let in natural light. So, yeah, there was some windows shooting right down into the ground, but they've been bricked up. And I totally missed it. So, see, it just goes to show you. A hunting, camping, and fishing supply place down over here in this entrance called Frenchies and Baratos. Frenchie and Baratos. It's now defunct and gone. But it was kind of down in sort of a lower level here. This thing's got some weird... A little more here. Yeah, there we go. Here, the sort of coining detail that they've done with brick rather than some kind of stonework. And, Wow, you can see the transition from that newer facade brick to the older original brick here. Wow. And of course that brick right there, to me looks like that's shooting right down into the ground. Anyway, there you go. Just a little taste of what you'll see. Now that video's up on the channel already, so if you want to watch the whole thing, be my guest. If you're new to the channel, that fella's pretty organized on my channel's homepage. You know, I got the playlists and everything's divided into categories and whatnot, and we've got tons of videos and tons of live streams. So, you know, it's 3 years actually. Just had my 3 year with the channel here. So I've been hitting the streets, looking for old world stuff here in Calgary and some other small cities and towns in and around the Calgary area, and got a lot of stuff. So there's lots to look at, and that's kind of the theme for the meetup too, is there's going to be lots to look at in Inglewood. Man, we're going to be there at least a couple hours, probably three hours. We'll definitely have to take a break and have something nosh on, and maybe, you know, something cold and wet to throw down the back of your throat. And it's supposed to be a nice day, so, you know, we'll pack some water. Oh yeah, Inglewood's definitely eye candy. Definitely. Great area. But right now we're focusing on Edmonton. So what do you say we get into this video here that I found? And as a reminder, it's Edmonton streetcars or trolleys, electric trams. This footage is from 1949. Okay, let me just pause it and get in on the action here. There we go. So I don't have any sound on this video or anything like that, so that we can just kind of look at it and comment on what the hell's going on. So again, like right away, I see people just strolling. Like, what are we, 10 seconds into this video? And there's a couple, I don't know, they're just strolled in front of one streetcar, and now they're just strolling now in front of this one that's in the foreground here. Not a care in the world. Look at this guy. This guy's paper tucked under his arm or his lunchbox. This is 1949. It's still chaos. Okay, so you think, okay, let's get out of the downtown. Okay, it's not going to be so bad. Once you get out of the downtown core, you know, be a little bit more reasonable. No, cars just whipping in front of this. They see it coming and they want to try to beat it. This guy's like, oh, look out, man. Look out with that jalopy. Did you see that fool? Did you see that fool? Let me play that again. Okay, these two are kind of impatient in the blue cars. But this guy, you just look, the hell with the tram. I got places to be, buddy. Like, are you out of your mind? Oh, yeah, that too. Teaching your kid how to jaywalk in traffic in front of cars and streetcars. This lady doesn't pay any mind to the cars and trucks whipping by, the trolley whipping by. Now we get a real nice bird's eye view of the idiocracy going on. It almost seems like if you were a tourist and you went to Edmonton for vacation, let's say you're going to Klondike days up there, or I don't know, whatever, doing something up there, visiting the legislature grounds. You rent a car. You've never driven in Edmonton before. Look out, man. Oh, like that would just be terrifying. There's no partitions or fencing between the street and the tracks where the trains run. There's still no signals that I can tell. It's just a free-for-all. Mega says in Oregon they call the trolley the bum killer. Yeah. Well, those scoops that they used to put on the front, they used to call them cow catchers. Yeah, I think it was more to bump people out of the way so they didn't get runned over by these things. Because they'll slice and dice you. It's not like get run over by a car with those rubber tires that we alluded to earlier in the show, right? Air-filled rubber tires, a little bit cushiony. Some people have actually survived getting run over by a car, like the tire going over there. But a train wheel, no. It'll cut you clean in half. I guess like people that live here and deal with the streetcar trolleys all the time, like, they get kind of impatient because, again, they're cars, right? They can't just take a nice, leisurely, smooth, quiet, tranquil ride on the old world electric transportation system. No, you got to get in their jalopies with the smoke billowing out the back and beep, beep, honk, honk. Get out of the way, buddy. I'm in a hurry. But if I was a tourist up there and rented a car for the day and was trying to get around, I wouldn't know what to do. I guess I would just follow the flow of traffic. Now, if I was a tourist riding in the train, I would be equally as terrified. That guy's going to hit us. That guy's going to hit us. You almost ran over that kid. Whatever, right? It's just nuts. In the background here, you're going to see some shots of the legislature building, like sort of Canadian version of the Capitol building. Your state Capitol building. It's a beauty. Definitely going to be doing some poking around up there when I'm up in Edmonton. Now here, when the train ascends and goes over the high or low level bridge, fine. Then all it is just the train. There's no people, cars, bicycles to contend with. But then as it comes back down, when it's done its circuit and comes back, again, you got cars whipping around all over the place, people jaywalking or running in front of you. Oh yeah, there's tons of there's tons of footage here where it's like literally it's got to be within inches that they didn't hit the vehicle with the train or hit the train with their car. There's a nice shot. Some of these I kept, I didn't edit out, even though there's not much chaos going on, just because you get a really nice shot of that legislature building up in Edmonton. A beautiful, beautiful building set on a beautiful park-like grounds. This, I believe, is the high-level bridge where the trolleys and the locomotive cargo trains used the top platform, and underneath was for cars and pedestrians. See the legislature building, dome and cupola peeking out the back there again. See, the cars are just whipping around. There's people waiting to cross there, trying to cross in the background. Here's where they have to do some of their switching because the doors used to be only on one side. Just ridiculous. Okay, now at least here, I think this is Jasper Avenue. So at least here you've got a guy that's sort of saying, all right, this guy goes first. Now hold your horses. Wait your turn there now, buddy. But watch coming up here now. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Spoiler alert. But even with this guy controlling traffic, it's still complete buffoonery. The car's cutting around in behind the train so that they can cut around the corner. People running across. The trolley pulling out and two more cars sneaking in front of it before it has a chance to pull out into the intersection. Just ridiculous. A bus cutting off the trolley. That's appropriate. And people strolling. Oh, yeah, look out. You pick up the pace, lady. You see that? Come on. I got to pull that back a bit. This lady here, the first lady to cross, taking her time. And then she's, oh, damn the trolley. And she picks up the pace right quick. The other lady with the bag in her hand decided, I'm going to hold back here. I'm not going to risk getting hit by the train. But meanwhile, she's still standing in the middle of the road. Now the train's kind of made its way out to some of the north ends of the city and the west ends of the city. And you'd think, oh, well, you know, it's getting suburbs-ish. So, you know, less traffic and less chaos. But nah, it's the same shenanigans. You see that? It just pulled in and then pulled back out going the other direction. Why they didn't put a loop there, I don't know. This guy's working on the track, and the lady's waiting for the train to come. Oh, no, he was a switch guy, I think, maybe. But you see, again, I can't stress enough. You see that how close, just after this, when it switches to the next clip, you can see how close the trains are to the street. Like there's nothing separating the, you see, like the guy in that turquoise truck or van had to kind of pull wide as the train came around the corner. Yeah, she was just standing right in the middle of the road, right? I'm not going to get hit by a train, by golly. Meanwhile, she gets hit by a car, eh? So you can see that's what they call their circuit, their what did they call it again? The stupid thing. They have that weird name for it. Radial railway. That's it. The thing is, I didn't adjust the speed to this or anything like that. I mean, this is 16 millimeter film from 49, but you know, apparently whatever this is should be the normal film speed. So at some points, these trams or trolleys, they get moving along at a pretty good clip. So if you're not watching what you're doing and you're just a dope on your bicycle and you're just riding out into the middle of the road, I mean, yeah, that's it. That is a wrap. There goes that kid in that wagon again. You know somebody was shooting film, so he was like, wee! Look at me! This guy on his bike, I don't give a damn about the train. Just rides right in front of it. Idiot. See, if you're driving under that tunnel in a car and you're taking that corner, the train's coming the other way like that, like that's got to be jarring. The truck just cut off the train. Like it's just nuts. Look at that. See how close that was? Jumping Jehoshaphat, people. Take it easy. And when I first looked at this, I thought to myself, these idiots and fools are no different than the idiots and fools that we saw in, Pedestrian Oblivion footage from Vancouver or Toronto. That was back in the 20s and the teens, 1920s, 19-teens. You think after, well, in Edmonton's case, at this point, it's just over 40 years, 45 years. You'd think after 45 years, people would learn that, okay, look out for the trains and look out for cars whipping out from in front or behind the trains. Yeah, like these people are nuts, right? Hit the road, Jack. Or don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. What I say? Yeah, there's a lot of cases. It's inches between the train and the car. So there's that high-level bridge. Like, that would just be a beautiful ride. Well, actually, the new train does the same thing. It goes over the bridge. So it's still a beautiful ride going over the river. But what a beautiful way to get around the city. Like, you want to hit the shops, or you want to go to the movies. Take your special girl to the take your special guile to the movies, to the pictures, eh? Go and see, I don't know, the Maltese Falcon or something like that over here. You know? Hey, sweetheart there, eh? Let's go and get some popcorn and peanuts and go and see a picture show, eh? That'd be great. Just hop on the train, the trolley, you know? Smooth, safe, quiet. Oh, yeah. Going over the North Saskatchewan River. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Definitely. It's steel girder. Oh, yeah. I got the window wide open, Terry. You're going to be hearing some sirens. I know we've already heard them a couple times. And trains. See, there it is coming onto, technically now it's entering into what used to be Strathcona. This is old Strathcona. It's going to be coming onto sort of White Avenue-ish, if I'm not mistaken. I used to walk across that bridge, that high-level bridge. There was a couple of record stores on White Ave that I used to want to frequent on a guy's day off, so I would just take a shortcut across the legislature grounds and walk across the high-level bridge. So you see how there's a set of track in the middle? That's for the freight train, the CP or CN Rail or Union Pacific train. Got just a couple minutes left here. I don't know if I kept it or not, but there was some footage of the trams using the bridge and actually an old steam train going over at the same time. Can't remember if I clipped it out or not, though. At least here on their dedicated track going over the bridge, they don't have to worry about jackasses zipping and shucking and jiving across in front of them. You know what I mean? The 3 Ds of dodgeball. Duck, dodge, dive, dip, and dodge. Yeah, CN and Grand Trunk. Yeah. Canadian National is more out east, eh? I mean, it's across Canada and Adia land, and so CP, Canadian Pacific, but they're more focused in the east. I got to tell you though, when cousin Vinny and I went to Heritage Park last summer, we took a ride on the. Well, first we took a ride on the electric or on the steam locomotive, but then when you're leaving the park, you can actually ride out of the park on basically what is identical to these. They still have a functioning streetcar or tram, electric trolley. And I got to tell you, it was very comfortable. It was very nice inside. It was all like nice wood interior and brass fittings and stainless steel fittings and or cast iron fittings, I should say, and brass fittings and, you know, stained wood, and everything was all shiny and nice. And it felt good. It was like pretty smooth. It didn't feel all rickety. or anything like that, you know. So you could, well, I mean, and you know, and it made a couple of stops, and it was only, I don't know, maybe half a mile, quarter of a mile of track, really out of the park. But you could bet once it got going at a decent clip on a nice straightaway track, like going across this bridge like that, it would just be so quiet and so smooth. It would just be like as it, you know, crossed the joints in the rails themselves. It would almost be hypnotically calming, you know. Here's your typical, the last guy's got to get through before the train goes. This is just nuts. This guy's waiting to turn. The train's coming. One more car sneaks in front. Oh, geez, that Plymouth almost bit one. And the train's turning, and there's some lady walking. Get out of that! Get out of the way, lady. See the guy driving that armored car there, or whatever that truck is. He was a little bit more patient. Can I make it? No, I can't make it. I better wait. Of course, I keep touting how, you know, relaxing and smooth of a ride those things would be. But, you know, in that kind of situation with people in cars zipping and darting in and out in front of you and behind you like that, as a passenger, I don't think it would be all that soothing. You know, I would just be on pins and needles. I'd be like again, I feel terrible for the guys driving those trains. You know, the conductor guy or whatever. Like he just must be at his wit's end when he gets home from work. You know what I mean? Just totally frazzled. He probably keeps a tally too in the cab of that thing. I got cut off by 2,200 cars today on my 8-hour shift. 2,200 cars cut me off. I almost hit 6 people, a dog, and a chicken. Like they must have dreaded pulling those train cars into like the shopping district. You know, oh no, here we come. We're coming up onto the shopping district of the city. Oh Christ, here we go. There'll be people with their packages. They're zipping and darting in and out in front of you. Just be a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. Ooh. But see, that's the argument that they use, right? Like, and this footage was pretty nutty, but it wasn't that crazy. I mean, you know, I clipped it down from about 40 minutes of footage, and there was no accidents or anything on any of the footage, unless initially there may have been some kind of collision, and whoever took the video, you know, took the time to edit that stuff out of it, maybe. But of all the, this is, like I said, the 5th or 6th now Pedestrian Oblivion themed show that we've done here for the live show. And I've never actually seen anybody. We've had some real close calls, like where I've literally gasped in fear, you know. One of those. But looking at it, you could see how the older the footage, the more chaotic. Like it was definitely a lot more close calls, you know, in the 1890s through to about the 1920s, and some of what we've looked at in the past compared to this in 1949. But still, there was still a few close calls, and I don't know if it's oblivious. There literally are oblivious, like Pedestrian Oblivion, or if they just are impatient or what. But you could see that the hustle and bustle mindset and, one person per car and all these cars on the streets at this point have really taken a strong hold. And that just feeds into the narrative of, these trains are obsolete and they're slow and they're outdated and they, impede the flow of traffic and they're a pain in the ass in the streets and they cause traffic jams and accidents. But, in these later dates in the 40s that we're seeing, and again, it was a little chaotic, but it wasn't that bad. It was a couple of nail-biting moments for sure, but I mean, you could easily remedy that by having dedicated portions of the road for train only, and you give the train certain intersections, the train gets the right of way, and on busier intersections during rush hour downtown, then maybe cars have the right of way. You put in you get rid of the guys with the signal flags that are waving traffic and people through, and you put in some electric traffic signal lights. And, they could have kept that beautiful, efficient, smooth electric train system in operation. So every once in a while, you got to fix up the track a bit. You add on new routes or routes, whatever the case may be. You buy new train cars, as you move into the 50s, 60s, 70s, what have you. But no, we'll tear it down in 51 or 52 or whatever it was. And then in 1978, we'll build a new one up in Edmonton. And as mentioned at the top of the show, it's like that all over the realm. I mean, that's another one of those rubber stamp narratives. Boonk, dunk, boonk. Almost every city or town, by the 40s or 50s, they phased out these glorious old world transportation systems because, it was causing traffic jams with all the cars. Well, you were the same buggers that pushed the cars on us and pushed the gasoline on us. People in these old videos that we look at and old photographs that we see, they look quite content to be in their horses and carriages or flying in airships and dirigibles, using the electric streetcar, trolley, tram things, having electric cars, ocean liners, like luxurious ways to travel, that old adage, right, of the the travel or the trip itself is more important than the destination or whatever that saying is, you know what I mean? But then they flip the narrative on and they say, no, it's more important to get to where you're going and where we tell you got to be by a certain time as quickly as possible. So by the time you get there, you're all frustrated from fighting traffic and gridlock and white knuckling it in your jalopy. But if people's brains hadn't have been, brainwashed into thinking that, everybody's got to have a car. You got to keep up with the Joneses. Mr. Jones down the street, he bought himself a brand new Plymouth. And Mr. Smith around the block, he got himself a brand new Chevrolet. Everybody's got to have a Buick. When meanwhile, as your city grew and as the population grew, like I said, you just expand the amount of track that you have for your electric trains. You add more cars. They did that here in Calgary a few years back. They expanded all the train stations, what they call the platforms, the train stations, right? To go from accommodating 3 cars to accommodating 4 cars. And I think each car is 40 feet long, 30 or 40 feet long. So during rush hour, they add an extra car onto the train. Or during, a hockey game or a football game, a major event that the train services that venue, like the hockey arena. Well, there's 2 train stations at the hockey arena, for example, here in the Calgary, right? There's a station up near the football stadium up here too. And on and on and on, right? So during sporting events or rock concerts, or BB King's in town. Well, no, he's passed away now, God rest him. But when BB King would be in town playing at the Calgary Saddle Dome, right, the sports arena, the concert venue. I mean, I wouldn't want to drive there anyways. I would take the train anyhow. Actually, from where I am, it's about a half-hour walk, so I would just walk. But I don't know. It just seems to me like it was all part of the just, again, one more step to just tear out the old world and get us reliant on whatever means of getting from point A to point B they tell us, fuel, right? Like it's not like they took a vote up in Edmonton or any other city or town in the realm and said, do you want to keep the old streetcar electric trams, or do you want to go to diesel buses? No, they just did it. And they gave all the people, any people that raised an uproar and made a big stink about it, they just said, oh, well, it's inefficient and we couldn't pay for the maintenance anymore. Oh, but you can afford to buy a whole bunch of new buses and afford to tear up all the old tracks and pull out all the old stations and platforms. Where'd you get the money to do that? Well, sure. I mean, they just add that to the list, right, Mega? Too many drunks getting run over or what have you. But like Marit says here, it's always the same excuses, just like they did with the dangerous Zeppelin, right? Accidents made it disappear. And the same thing with the train. Oh, accidents and traffic chaos. But in a lot of the footage that we saw, that's the older footage, the streetcars or the trams ran down the middle of a street. Because we always have those wide streets. Again, even in a small town of like 2,000 people, they got these big, huge, wide streets. Almost like they built the buildings and laid out the street in anticipation of, all right, in 30 years, we're going to have electric streetcars running through here. And then 30 years after that, we're going to have these things called diesel buses that are going to, so we're going to need all these wide streets. But anyways, you look at the old footage from the teens or the 20s, and the trains are going either direction down the middle of the street, and then cars are on either side. That makes sense. The only time there might be any conflict is when a car's got to turn or the train's got to make a turn. But that's when you have your guy with the flag, your signalman, or later on your traffic lights. Everything's hunky-dory. But in some cases, I guess, as they expanded the lines and added more routes, then it got to be pretty hairy, because even in some of that footage from 49 we saw, I mean, the train's coming along here and the car's driving beside it and it's like right there. Whereas the train's coming this way, it's almost hitting the car. The guy had to kind of go, you know what I'm saying? Probably because that set of track, that part of the line or the circuit was put in after the road. You know what I mean? It just gets pretty hairy. But as goofy and as crazy as it was in this video that we looked at and in past videos, I still don't think it warrants discarding this old tech. I think it was just something that they discovered after the most recent reset. They were able to reverse engineer it, figure out how to get it going good enough to bring it back into circulation and use it. And then, once the robber barons, the oil guys and the steel guys, once they get a hold of stuff and get into their positions of power and are in cahoots with, their crony capitalists and the dirty bankers and all that, then they just monopolize everything. And then nobody has a choice. It's basically one day the train is there and everybody's using it. Thousands of people a day, millions of people a year. To all of a sudden the next day, boom, it's gone. Now you got to ride on the smelly, dirty bus blowing exhaust fumes out its tailpipe. And then 30 years later, they point the finger at us and say, look at all the pollution. We're going to go back to electric cars and electric trolley buses instead of these petroleum-powered buses. And we're all like, okay, like we're not the ones pumping the dead dinosaur juice out of the ground and spewing it into the atmosphere. That's you clowns. I have a funny feeling a lot of people, and I probably could speak to everybody in the box, we would rather have just stuck with the old school electric streetcar, trolley, tram thing in the first place. And the airships and dirigibles, you know. Instead of these dumbass airplanes and helicopters that crash all the time. Trains that derail and chemicals go spewing out everywhere because of these big super electric diesel trains. People got bamboozled into living this hectic 9-to-5 rat race lifestyle. And then we get the blame for, you know, what happens in the wake of what we got bamboozled with in the first place. Typical. So there you have it. What did you think of that? A little bit more recent, obviously, you know, 1949, getting to be pretty modern at this point. But then if you think about it, well, it was, you know, 75 years ago. It's going back a ways. So I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down here for tonight, unless anybody has any mind-bending questions for a guy in the box. If so, of course, you know, feel free there. We're going to chat a little bit here before I sign off for tonight. Again, just as a reminder, if you haven't already, give a guy one of these. You know, it just kind of helps to push me out into the YouTubes there a little bit. Thank you to everybody who's shared and subscribed. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting my channel with leaving a comment or sending me emails, sending me photos or topic ideas. Thank you to everybody who's also donated to PayPal. Those donations have all gone back to the channel. As mentioned recently, I got a new mouse, a new headset or headphones for the channel here. I've got some stuff planned for the meetup that's going to involve just some little gifts, little things. So yeah, always putting that stuff back into the channel and trying to improve things. And of course, if you have any suggestions, just get a hold of a guy there in the links below, you know. In the email and the MeWe and BitChute. And again, over on the Fighting platform. It's Vinny saying here, Frankie, Calgary needs to call up those old world tunnel builders, don't you think? Replace that pipe with a nice brick tunnel. I don't know if they'll be able to get a hold of guys that would be able to do that anymore. Maybe not locally. There would probably be a handful of guys that are like legitimate brick mason guys that could do it. But they would have to call guys that they know, and then guys that, oh yeah, like my cousin out in Toronto, he knows how to do that stuff too. So you'd have to bring guys in from everywhere. And then, of course, we'd have to import the bricks because there's no brick factory in Calgary. Even though there's brick buildings, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a brick building in some old parts of the city here. All right, so once again, as a reminder, the 1,500 subscriber Mudflood Walkabout Tour of Old Inglewood coming up on Sunday, June 23rd, 1 p.m. local time, mountain time here in Calgary. So if you're local and you want to meet up and come on this Mudflood Tour of Inglewood, would love to have you. Just shoot me an email, contact me so we can stay in touch and I can keep you apprised of the details and whatnot and so on and so forth. If you think you're going to be in the Calgary area on that weekend and would like to join the meetup, fantastic. Just let me know. And again, I can shoot you the details. Again, coming up later on in the summer, Cousin Vinny and myself were going to be heading back to Heritage Park. We were there last summer. We did a tour of the park, but we missed a few things because we were just getting so sidetracked by stuff like, oh, I don't know, buffalo rubbing stones from when the buffalo get itchy.
When you get an itch, then you do the twitch in bedrock. Twitch.
Anyway, we're going to be heading back there to visit the stuff that we had to skip. The train museum that's there, the old car museum that's there, the blacksmith shop that's there. He's got an old dynamo in there and an old diesel engine that drives the belts that drives the machinery in there. You know, that old belt drive system that we see with the shafts that turn the belts, that turn different shafts, that turn wheels on different machines. He's got a setup like that in there, and it's pretty cool. It's not super big and sophisticated. He's only got a couple of machines because he's just set up like an old-timey blacksmith from around circa 1900, right? But he's a real blacksmith, and that blacksmith shop's a functioning blacksmith shop. They make all the horseshoes and all the other stuff that the park needs, everything from nails and like hinges for doors to, you know, like bits and different bridles or whatever for the horses and I don't know, all that stuff, right? As mentioned earlier in the show and right on topic for tonight's show here, episode 70, going to be heading up to Edmonton, the capital city of here in Alberta. Going to do a mudflood walkabout of a few areas there in the city, as well as I'm definitely going to hit the legislature building, as well as a couple of other buildings like the Freemasons Lodge and an old church, the old prison that's up there. Going to hit parts of old Chinatown and parts of old downtown, Jasper Avenue, and parts of old Strathcona there on White Avenue as well. Going to try to make some more or get on some more road trips out of the city and hit some small prairie towns. Vinny and I are going to try to hit up a special location south of the city here sometime this summer. I'm going to be doing Stampede themed related mudflood sort of boots on the ground videos of buildings coming up here in the next couple of weeks as the Calgary Stampede comes into full swing. That, if you don't know, is one of the world's largest rodeos. Cowboys and cowgals from all over the world come here to Calgary to compete for all kinds of prizes. One of the largest rodeos, the richest rodeos in terms of prizes and purses, and you know, purses is another name for prize, eh? And trophies and ribbons and whatnot. So it's a big, massive 10-day rodeo. There's chuck wagon races. There's bareback riding. There's bull riding. There's bucking bronco riding. There's calf roping and steer wrestling. And then they also have a big agricultural exhibition too, where you go to a cattle auction, sold, or you can buy yourself a new combine or the latest newfangled tractor, or what have you. So that's coming up in the second week in July. So I'm going to be doing some cowboy related boots on the ground, and I'm going to try to maybe hit up the Stampede grounds. I've got some videos coming up just before the Stampede starts that show parts of the old Stampede Park that they're currently tearing down, which is a shame because it's going on 80 years old, I believe, 75, 80 years old, some of these portions. And I went to visit last week and was taking some footage, and they were in the process of tearing down some of these old buildings while I was there. I'm like, oh man, come on. But at least I got some of it on film before they were all gone. And I'll be doing 2 live streams that will be sort of cowboy, Wild West, root and toot and shoot 'em up themed for that Stampede week in July, right? The first Friday, they kick off with the Stampede parade and everything. And then the sort of the wind down the following Friday. So you get 2 cowboy live streams there in July. So that's pretty exciting. Bet you didn't know that us crazy Canadians up here in Canada land had rodeos and country music and cowboy hats and bucking broncos and whatnots, did you? Well, yes, sir, indeedy. And we're going to look at the history of that here coming up in about a month from now. About 3-4 weeks from now, yeah. That's when it kicks off. So stay tuned to the channel. Keep your ocular sphericals hooked onto the channel here for announcements and so on and so forth, as not only we get a little bit closer to the meetup, the 1,500 subscriber meetup on the 23rd of June, but, Heritage Park visits and going up to Edmonton. So if you live up in Edmonton and you want to meet up while I'm up there, that'd be awesome as well. I'm fairly familiar with certain parts of Edmonton, especially, again, downtown and sort of the River Valley area, both sides, right? Strathcona and Edmonton proper. But if you're up there and you want to meet up, that'd be great. That's another reason why I kind of started this channel, was not only to meet up with locals that are sort of like mind and we can explore areas like this together, but also to encourage people just to check out their own cities or towns, like your own backyard, your own stomping grounds. And I don't know, grab a camera or take some photos, take some video, share it around with people. Heck, email it to me. If you're not confident with starting up a channel and sharing it that way, heck, if I can do it, the most technologically Neanderthal-like man ever, me, Frankie. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But some people, it's just not their wheelhouse. And to be honest, it's not my wheelhouse either. This technological live streamings and stuff. I do what I can. But yeah, it's just to encourage you to, look around where you live. I mean, if you live out in the country on a farm or something, sure, you might not have a lot, but bet you if you head into the nearest little town or into the big city, you're going to find something. Old city hall or something, an old fire hall, an old church. Because these shenanigans are everywhere, all across the realm. It doesn't matter if you live in a town of 500 people or in a city of 5 million people. There's wacky shenanigans going on all over the realm. And again, these narratives seem to be rubber stamped. Powers there should not be that have bamboozled us for the past, I don't know, a couple hundred years, at least, being conservative. They're not the most creative types with coming up with stories to fill in the blanks. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this architect, he's responsible for these 68 buildings. Wait, what? How's that even possible? Stuff like that, right? It doesn't matter if you're in Missouri, Alberta, Wales, Japan, or New South Wales. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's so ridiculous. So with that, I think that's it. I'm going to wind this thing down here for tonight. So once again, I want to thank all of you for joining me here for a slightly later episode of the show. So thank you for your patience with that. I really appreciate it. Thanks for kicking off your weekend here with yours truly. And again, thanks to everybody for all your support. The greatest support you can give is just sharing, commenting, interacting, saying hello. That's what it's all about. And again, links for everything in the description below. Thanks to Hippie and Cousin Vinny and Terry and Maggot for keeping an eye on things in the chat, which we never really have any problems around here. But thanks for sharing links and all of that. That's great. That's the utmost of importance. It helps spread the word and helps people to share or become aware of and share with others, other channels, other videos. So that's really, really great. Wait, what's going on here? Mega's saying, my great-grandpappy was from Calgary. He was a horseman. Loved the Arabian horse the best. So he was a local cowboy. You see? There you go. There you go. Hey, our police still ride on horses here in the city parks and during the Calgary Stampede, of course. Actually, pretty much in the summer, they're on horseback over on Prince's Island Park and St. George's Island, some of the downtown core. Yeah, just, instead of two dudes riding around in a SUV or a squad car, a black and white, that's two dudes on a couple of horses. Cops with cowboy hats on. City cops and also the Mounties will do the same, the RCMP. I mean, that's where they get their name, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, meaning they were mounted on horseback, right? Anyway, that is going to seal the deal here tonight for Frankie and New West Reset and the live show, episode 70, Edmonton Pedestrian Oblivion. So thanks again, everybody. Take care out there, and until the next one, have yourselves a good one. All right? Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.